It was his college professor. He was a professor of philosophy, and he believed he had found the wisest guru. I don't know what a guru is, but a guru in the world. You all know what a guru is, right? I guess you usually find them on the tops of mountains somewhere, in a cave or something. So, he went to this guru, and the guru said, I will answer one question. One well thought out question. Okay, Mr. Guru, what is the meaning of death? You always, at some level, wanted to know the answer to this one, right? There was silence. And then hesitation. And then I don't know. You don't know. Aren't you the wisest? Yes. Yes. But I'm not a dead wise guru. Better to ask me how to reach the next plane home. I've been to the airport. Yeah. You've heard that expression, well, you had to be there. Apparently, that's the answer. But I'd like you to just journey with me for a moment. Journey in your own mind, in your own being. We are in Jerusalem. It's 2,000 years ago. Jesus is seated by himself, apart from all the people. Outside the gates, the crowd is gathered, and the crowd is rowdy. It's the multitudes who were fed, the people who were healed. There were even a couple who were raised from the dead. Now they're gathered to see the crucifixion. They've forgotten the good things that have happened, the good that they received. Oh, yes. And the priests and the other authorities, they're out there as well. They're convinced Jesus meant to destroy the temple, to destroy their religion, to destroy their God. Though they saw and experienced healings and resurrections, they've now forgotten, and they cry, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Even the Roman authorities, they really want no part of this. They have no quarrel with this man. They have no quarrel with his teachings. And Jesus sits, and he understands. On one side is the Roman law, with no desire to take part in any of this day. On the other side, the ungrateful, who have forgotten, who heard his words but didn't take them into their hearts and make his words a part of them. Jesus has a right to sit there and do some thinking, and I think we have the right to try to get into his mind, to perhaps get an idea of what's going on within him, to speculate. Can you imagine? He says to himself, what a great spiritual victory I have experienced. What a revelation God has given me of the truth of being. It's so great that the words I have spoken, they will never cease. And those who hear will be lifted up out of their problems and challenges and pain. What grace I have received from the Father to know the meaning of all things past, present, and future. God has been very good to me. God has blessed me richly. Alone in that courtyard, he remembers the love he gave out to so many. And yet, he's alone. With all my success, what has been my failure? Where have I failed? Where are those who walked with me? Where are those I've taught? The disciples, the apostles, the 12, the 70, the 200. Where are they? My brothers, those I've raised from the dead. I put my trust in Peter, in John, in Matthew, even in Judas. What has become of them? Where's Lazarus? His sister, Mary, is here. She's outside, standing in her love. Also, the other Mary, the one caught in adultery, she's there too. So many of these people, they were my sheep, and I seem to have lost them. Even my mother doesn't seem to know me, to understand my mission, to recognize my work. How have I failed? I don't believe the mission has failed. No one can tell me this isn't the Christ message that I've been teaching and that the world needs to hear. The sick have been healed, the dead raised. I preached to the poor the gospel of good. By the fruits of the message, I know it is true and valid. Jesus thinking silently, and the noise outside grows. Louder they cry for his life. And all the greater must be his astonishment at them. Sometimes between this moment and the time when they lead him to the cross, the light would come. The light that enabled him to endure the cross, to rise from the tomb and ascend. That light dawned in his consciousness. The realization that human awareness cannot understand the mission of the Christ. It doesn't come through human understanding. That human self does not want to be extinguished. It wants to remain. The human I boasts about its own power and wisdom. It doesn't say, "Why call me good?" There is but one who is good, and that is the Father. Or of myself, I can do nothing. God works through me. No, it boasts, "See how great my understanding is." Of course, you can perceive how spiritual I am. Oh, and did you notice how good I am? Feed the crowd, and you have an admiring throng. Heal them, and they honor you with robe and crown. But when you tell them that they must deny themselves and recognize God as the reality of their being, look what happens. As Jesus again pondered the question, have I failed? From somewhere deep within him, comes the answer. You could not succeed, and you could not fail, because this is not your work. This is my work, and you are my instrument. Didn't you tell people that if you spoke of yourself, you bore witness to a lie? That this message was not yours, but he that sent you? Remember it now. You cannot fail because you never had a message and you never had a mission. You are an instrument through which the truth is given to the world. Your part has been fulfilled. How can you fail since you bear witness to the powerlessness of hate, jealousy, and all evil? In one experience, you wipe out the entire belief that the human part of anyone, with its iniquity, its forgetfulness, its belief in appearances, has any power whatsoever. You prove to the world and to the children of God that none of these things can ever destroy the life, the harmony, the wholeness, the message, or the mission of divinity. There was the question: why did these people forsake me? And the answer came to Jesus during this internal, intense dialogue with himself. I have finished the work thou hast given me to do. I have proved that nothing and no one can overcome a child of God. Easter's a great celebration, isn't it? I had an amazing family. Nothing like having an aunt and a grandmother who dearly love the only boy grandson, the only grandson, the only grandchild in the whole family. Easter, I got 5 Easter baskets. You wonder where it is? You can take it with you. We're not here to commemorate an event 2,000 years ago that happened to someone in such a distant past. We're come here to remember that no matter how things appear, no matter what happens, God itself is our power. God itself is our presence. You don't need a human Messiah. You don't need someone to mediate for you. When we do, we give up our power. The lesson of Easter is the revelation that God works through us without any human mediator. We watch Jesus make that great demonstration after the loneliness in Gethsemane, and without a single disciple to watch with him. He still can know, I and the Father are one. Do you think Jesus intended to show that his resurrection was something really special? Only he could do it? Or do you think maybe Jesus intended to show us that each person has the same power and the same potential, the same possibility he did, the ability to rise above any condition, any situation? At no time did Jesus say, worship me. He said something far more difficult. He said, "Follow me. Follow me. The things I do, you shall do, and greater." He said the kingdom of God is not off in some far-off part of the universe, but it's right here within you. He said you're a child of God, and you should call God Father when you pray to him and seek his guidance and help. Jesus Christ intended to demonstrate to all of us that we had the same power, the same potential, the same possibilities. People didn't get it. The disciples didn't get it. It's time. Perhaps you've heard the phrase before. It's time to go all the way. Jesus went all the way. He went from human to divine. He went all the way to immortality. On the back of your bulletin is a quotation from Charles Fillmore from Keep a True Land, page 127. It's the middle of the three. He, Jesus, raised not only his own consciousness or awareness from despair and hopelessness to assurance and confidence in the presence and continued help of a loving Father God, but he opened the way for the whole race to do likewise. When we determine to follow him all the way, we undertake the mighty work of the ages, a revolution of character before which the famous tasks of Hercules pale into insignificance. I don't know if you saw the movie, The Labors of Hercules, but it looked like a pretty big feat. And yet, how much greater is it when we really believe what Jesus said, believe what he taught, believe when he said, the things I do, you shall do, and greater. When he said, follow me, because he knew that we could. And sometimes we take a step, we make a move. We have a little change in our lives and everything's great. And then after a while we go back to the way we were. We want to follow Jesus, but not all the way. Oh, we don't want to be radical. Over these last weeks, you've had a diagram on the back of the bulletin of the floor plan of a Gothic cathedral, which to me is a beautiful map of the process of meditation, coming to face with that infinite spirit within each one of us. The only place we're going to find this reality is in us. We can run around to human being and human being. Tell me what to do. Tell me how this all works. I need to find a guru. Tell me what is the meaning of death. Have you seen that new television program, by the way? What, you don't know the answer? Well, haven't been there lately. Last time I was there, I don't remember. Our mediator is that divine self within, the I of you. The I within you, that part of you that says, I am, is that same spirit that was and is in Jesus Christ. But to connect with it, to actually realize it, you've got to connect with it face to face. And the only way that happens is from within. A diagram of the cathedral. I didn't put it on your bulletin this morning, and I probably ought to have, but I didn't. That floor plan begins with outside. We're out here in the world. But to have that meeting with the eye of our being, we need to move inside, through the front door, into vestibule, and then we enter the nave. And there in the nave, you usually find some water. It's a reminder of baptism, and baptism is nothing but a cleansing. It is a reminder to leave the thoughts and the challenges and the problems of the outside. Let them go. The nave is a vessel. That's why it's called the nave. It's the same root that you find in navy. It's a ship. And I've seen old churches. A church I first played organ in back when I was 16. The whole ceiling had wooden beams like the bottom of a ship, because it's the nave. It's a vessel, and when we enter it, we're preparing to take a journey. That's where you find the pews in the nave. So you have a moment sitting in a pew, beginning to relax your mind and relax your body. You may have to affirm that I am at peace. Peace, be still. Be still and know that I am God. Relax, let go. Eventually, as you feel relaxed, you move to the transept, which is the part of crossing over. It's between the nave and the sanctuary where the altar is. In that space, you begin to connect with your divine self, with the source of all. The Father and I are one. I am. I am. And as you begin to make this connection, you then can walk forward into the sanctuary. You see 3 steps to remind you that in order to ascend to the altar, you let go of the physical, you let go of the emotional, and you let go of the mental. So you can be in that consciousness of I. Consciousness of the Christ. So you ascend those steps, leaving the human behind. And there before the altar, you are in the presence of that divine self within you. And you rest there a moment, open, receptive, and responsive. That's where you hear that still small voice. That's the meeting place between you and God mind, God life, God peace, love, and joy. That moment does not have to last forever. Sometimes it only lasts but an instant. But in that instant, we are changed. And as you begin to reverse your journey back out into the world, down the steps, across the transept, into the nave, and out of the church, out the front door, into everyday life, into a consciousness of everything out here, you are already changed. And you bring whatever you received in that silence with you. A resurrection is not something greatly dramatic necessarily, but it is a change of state, a raising to another level of awareness, a greater level of joy, a greater experience of peace and good in your life, a fuller understanding of yourself as a child of God. And oh yeah, health in mind, health in body. You can reach that place where every cell of your being radiates that infinite light of God. So, today, let's begin to take a little journey inside. And we do that with the hymn, "In His Time."